Welcome. To start off trying to find the area of a parallelogram, let's just review. A parallelogram is a quadrilateral, 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, where opposite sides are parallel. Top and bottom are parallel, left and right are parallel. And by the way, that means that these two sides right here have the same length, and these two sides right here have the same length. All right, here's the formula for the area of a parallelogram. So notice that we've got area equals base times height, or we can write it like this. I'm not going to describe how we got this formula. I'll put a link in the description to the video if you want a reminder. What do we need to know? Well, we need to know, first off, what the base is. The base must be one of the four sides. So if I'm talking about the base, it's got to be one of the four sides of my parallelogram. The height has to be perpendicular to the base. It's usually not one of the four sides, and it can be inside or outside the shape. So if I'm drawing the height, sometimes what I'll do is I'll draw a line like this. That's inside the shape, but perpendicular to the base. Or sometimes we'll draw it outside like that. It's still perpendicular to the base, if this is our base, but it's outside the shape. If I wanted to get really crazy, what I can do is think of this side as the base, and let's see if I can draw a height. I want to draw something perpendicular to that, like that right there. So there's another base and another height. So let's work on some examples. I have here a parallelogram on a grid, and I've got this little helper right here. I can move this around and kind of see, what do I want to use as the height? What do I want to use as the base? And it seems like it's easiest if I do something like this. So if I use maybe the right-hand side as the base and draw a line like my green arrow to find the height. Let's do that. So for my base, let's say my base is here, and let's count on the sides here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. My base is equal to 4. And if we draw the height like I did before, right over there, I'll put the square right there to talk about the fact that that's a right angle. I've got 1, 2, 3. My height is equal to 3. So that makes things pretty straightforward. My area is base times height, and that is 4 times 3, that's 12. So again, what was really important here, I needed to have the base to be one of the four sides. I chose the right-hand side, and the height has to be perpendicular to that. Going over to the other side. All right, let's try some examples without a grid. Let's try that again with these two parallelograms. I'm going to move this over. I want height perpendicular to base, and one way I could think about that is this seems to be a really good fit. I'll make it look like this as well. That'll also work. So I'm going to have a base being either the top or the bottom, and the height going to be that dotted line right there. Fantastic. So it's coming time to find base and height, and for my base I will use 12 centimeters, and for my height we will use the 9 centimeters. So when it comes time to find area, area equals base times height. That's going to be 12 centimeters times 9 centimeters. Multiplying that out, that's going to be 108 square centimeters. Notice something. We never used that number. That number wasn't helpful to us at all. And that's going to happen in some of these parallelogram problems. You're going to have some extra numbers that you don't use. We're about to see that again. Notice over here on this parallelogram, I've got the slight problem that, all right, well, I need something like this, maybe? Let's see, maybe like that. I need to make sure that my base and my height are perpendicular, and that seems to be a really good match right there. So what does that mean? Okay, well, when I'm talking about my base is going to be the 5 feet right here. So that's my base. What's going to be my height? My height is going to be this distance right here. It's outside the shape, but it's at a right angle to the base. So my height equals 35 feet. So finding area, I need to have 5 feet times 35 feet. That's going to be 175 square feet. And again, notice something. I didn't need this number. That wasn't needed at all. I didn't need that number. I needed 2 numbers. The base, which was one of the 4 sides, and this seemed like the best side to use, because there was a height right here that was perpendicular to it. So just a reminder, every time you're doing this, think about that you want that height and that base perpendicular to each other. The base is always one of the 4 sides, and the height can be inside or outside the shape, and it's always perpendicular to the base.